down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, you need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.
It's a Friday morning time now for Home Repairs and Solutions with Mark and Mary, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amana dealer. And now here are your hosts, Mary Pearson, and welcome back, Mark Withers.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good to see him back, huh?
Isn't it great?
It is.
He surprised me. He was waiting for me in the parking lot. I was very happy to see Mark today. So
Well, we kept promising everybody he'd be back.
we
just didn't know when.
did. Well, you know, sometimes things just don't work out like we plan. But we're
That's
happy
true.
to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Absolutely. This is going to be a great show. I'm sure all of our listeners are excited to have you back, too. You know, it's always more fun when I have my co-host with me than I'm flying solo here.
That's right. Well, I have definitely missed you.
Well, thanks. Well, we've missed you a lot, too.
Thank you.
And we have a great show. We have another guest here in the audience. I have my oldest granddaughter, Brittany, with me today. She's hanging with me today. After the show, we're going to go down to Mansfield. Today's my dad's birthday. So we're going to go after the show and celebrate my dad's birthday. So it's a great day for me. Mark's back. It's my dad's birthday. I get the afternoon off. It's all going to be great. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is, you know, oftentimes when someone wants to create a different look around their home, or they want to just cheer themselves up by doing something that doesn't cost a lot of money but that can make a dramatic difference, is they paint something.
That's right.
And so we have a great guest today. He's an expert when it comes to painting. His name is Zach Precise, and he is with Pro Finish Paint. No, is that right? Pro Finish Paint. And he's our expert today that's in the studio with us. So we're excited to have you here, and thanks for being on the show today, Zach.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Do we have a call already?
We do have Brendan from Lebanon.
Oh, my goodness. We already have a call, so we'll start out with this caller and see what's going on. Good morning, Brendan.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I first of all want to say happy birthday to your dad.
Well,
I
thanks.
hope it's a good one for him today, despite this hot weather.
He's going to be 75.
That's amazing. And then I wanted to ask you guys, during the cooler months at my church that I go to, they run the air conditioning like really cool, where people get really cool. But then come summertime, the air conditioning is the same, which I don't have a complaint about. But there's something wrong with that picture there. They should be running the heat when it's cool, not cool when it's cool outside. Anyway, I wanted to ask your opinion about that and see what you have to say.
Do you have a heat pump at your church? Is it a heat pump they're running?
I think he hung up.
Nope, hung up.
Oh, well, depending on what you have, if you have a heat pump, which is the outside unit, so I'm thinking he's thinking the outside unit is running, then in the wintertime that is a source of heat. Mm-hmm. So if you have a heat pump situation, then your outside unit will run all year round. So if that's what's going on, then you're actually getting heat out of the heat pump. You're not getting cooling. So, I mean, it wouldn't make sense to run your air conditioner in the wintertime because, first of all, it wouldn't work very well.
Right.
It would freeze, you know, it just isn't going to work. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that you actually have a heat pump and you see that outside unit running, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Right.
So I hope that answered your question, and thanks for calling today.
You know, I seen something. A good friend of mine built a new house just within the last 2 years.
Uh-huh.
And I went to finally see it one evening last week. He put in a geothermal system.
Yeah.
I was amazed with that. And he had about 4,000 square foot.
They're a great system.
Thermostat stays on about 75 year-round. Never
Correct.
changes.
Correct.
It's wonderful.
It is a great system. It's very costly to install. You do save a lot of money on the utilities, but
Right.
the upfront cost is substantially more than a standard forced air system.
Right.
With the forced air system, with the SEER ratings and stuff we have now, we can get very, very low utility bills for less money, but it just depends on what you want to do.
Sure.
Some people, if you're going to live in that home for a long time and that's what you want to do, then that's a great way to go.
Yeah.
If you have the acreage and if you have the wells and if you have the capability, or if you have a pump and dump system where you have a pond.
Do it in a very economic way.
That's
Make
right.
it look totally different. Here's the man that can do it. And that's what we're
right.
here for today.
That's right. We're talking about paint today. We have not had a painter on before. I'm so excited to have you on because I've been trying to find a painter that I would want to bring on the show. And we talked earlier. We got to visit and talk. And you have a great website, some great photos. And so one of the questions I thought about coming in today that I was going to ask you is, when you decide you want to be a painter, you want to do that for a living, where do you learn that trade? Are there schools for that? You go to school for heating and air and different things, but what about, I don't know, how do you learn about being a good painter?
Yeah, there's definitely some classes you can take and learn a lot of the tricks. But honestly, just like anything, best thing's hands-on. And working with someone that's been doing it for a long time and really good can teach you a lot more. So
practice makes perfect.
Definitely.
Just like just about anything else in life, I guess. Just practice. And you've been painting for quite a while. How long have you been painting?
It's been seven years now.
7 years. And you do all kinds of different things that I don't think about. Most of the time we think about painting, we think about just painting maybe the inside of the house or something like that. But you do way more than just painting the inside. So what are some of the other services that you can offer our listeners?
Well, yeah, definitely. A lot of the times people, when they think of paint, they think painting walls.
Sure.
Painting ceilings. But inside there's a lot more to it. There's the trim, the doors, the cabinets, and and things like that. But we also do some faux finish work inside. We also do exteriors, commercial and residential. We do pool repainting, refinishing. So when people have the gunite plaster pools and fiberglass even, we can come and refinish them and make them look new again. And
you said really a kind of a good time to do pools is in the fall.
Yeah.
Because
fall
it's
or
quite the
earlier.
process. I understand. It's not like a day job. It's not like you go out and paint it in a day and you're done.
Right.
So it does take a little bit of time. So the best time, if you have a pool and you need to do some upgrading or you want to paint it or make it look good, do it in the fall when you're done using it. Then you have the time frame to get everything done like it needs to be, between coats or whatever you do to make it dry and all that. Cover it up, and then in the spring, when you open it up, it looks like you have a brand new pool. You're ready to go. Yeah. So I thought that was great advice because, when the hot weather hits, we never know when the hot weather is going to hit. So, most people, if they have a pool, when it starts getting hot, they want to get their pool up and running. They want to use it. They don't want to be out 10 days painting it. I wouldn't either because, a lot of times our time here in Missouri to use our pool isn't really that long. So you want to maximize your use of your pool if you've, went to the expense to put one in or you've purchased one. So if you have one and it needs some repair, think about it. Think about this fall. Put it on your project list to do, and then call Zach and have him come out and take care of that for you.
Yeah.
Yep,
So, and speaking of calling you, Zach, how can they get? What's your phone number? How can they call you?
It's 417-893-0803.
And he also has a website. And what is the name of your website?
It's www.profinishpaint.com, and it is under construction right now. So if you go there right now, you unfortunately won't be able to see any pictures, but hopefully they'll have it up and running very soon, and you'll be able to get on there.
There you go. So what are some of the questions or what are some of the issues people run into when they're trying to paint? It looks like, we have all these HGTV shows and all that, and they do all these makeovers in, 42 minutes or whatever. It's just an insane amount of time.
Make it look so easy.
And they make it look so easy.
Anybody can do it.
Painting, I'm sure there is a process and an art to it. What are some of the things that people might run into as far as complications or difficulty if they try to tackle painting on their own?
Well, a lot of it, unfortunately, is a lot of gimmicks to sell different products and things. Product is everything when you're painting, and if you don't have the right one, you will run into problems. And that's probably the number one thing: getting the right thing for their job. And then the right equipment. There's a lot of tools out there that I see, different places sell, and a lot of them don't do what they say they're going to do. So having the right equipment, the right products can make a big difference.
So how does someone know if they're wanting to have something painted and they have just a sheetrock wall or something like that in their home, and maybe it's got wallpaper on it, or maybe it's what? Do you paint over wallpaper? Can you do that? Is that a good idea?
I never recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that, if that's the only option for the homeowner, then we can do that. But we definitely try not to. So
do you strip wallpaper? Does someone else need to do that?
No, we do that.
Do you?
Yeah. I don't
Dude.
claim that I do it, but I do. Yeah.
That's a yucky job.
It is not fun.
That is not a fun job. So if someone has wallpaper and they want to paint that wall, you'll come in and strip the wallpaper. And then what do you have to do to that wall? I mean, is there a certain kind of preparation? Because wallpaper usually has glue and all kinds of yuck on there. So I would imagine prepping the wall would be another step that if you don't do that properly, you might have some issues with the paint.
Yeah, definitely. And it depends on, every job's different. The way they apply the wallpaper is different. And so you just kind of have to take it as you go. But you definitely need to have some sort of a priming done in between that and the paint, and definitely some sanding. And unfortunately, a lot of times when you're taking wallpaper off, you gouge the wall. So you have to repair some of those things. So.
Or if it's really glued on, it tears the paper off the
Yep.
sheetrock
Yep.
and that kind of stuff, yeah.
All kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times these simple projects, you start it and then you're like, what in the world was I thinking? Then you've got to fix this and repair that and do something else, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So the guest asked me how I know that. My husband and I have got into some of those projects like, oh my goodness, now what? Yeah. But if someone calls you, and let's just say that they have a room and they want to change the color, but they're not sure what color they want. You go to a paint store, it's insanity. I mean, there's 47 colors of gray, for crying out loud.
Right.
How do you know? To me, that it's really difficult, because when you get that little chip and you look at it at the store, first of all, they have different lighting. It looks totally different in the store than when you take it home. And then when you put it on the wall, you're like, oh my gosh, why did I pick this color? Can you help people kind of go through that process if they have a certain maybe color they're looking at, and you can help them get the right tone or the right shade or the right for their lighting in their environment? Because I can't tell you how many times we've bought paint, started it and went, oops, this isn't what we wanted. And then we go get more paint, and then we've got cans of half-used paint all over. It's just insanity.
Yeah, that's something we can definitely help with. We do a lot of it, so we see a lot of different homes, a lot of different styles, and we can definitely steer them in the right direction on that. And that's one thing, you don't want to have a lot of gallons and gallons and gallons of paint you're not using. And so if it is something where we do need to make a sample, then we'll do that. We'll get a little sample can and we'll make a sample and put it on the wall and see how it looks on the wall. Because a lot of times, like you said, it is different. Lighting's different, and even daytime and nighttime lighting is totally different. And so you just have to check those things out first.
And the samples you get in the store, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they're not paint. They're ink, isn't that the case on those little sample cards? Or are they the actual paint products? I know they used to be just an ink that they matched the paint.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
So they would fade a little bit and different things as time went by.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's an ink color on that little paint sample card?
They used to. That's why they used to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Just color only.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder it doesn't always look like the paint when you get it home.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it depends on the surface. If you got a textured wall, it may catch light just a little different than a flat, smooth wall. And I've got that. We bought some paint. I'm the painter around the house, naturally. And the paint we use at nighttime is got kind of almost a purple cast. During the daytime, it's a grayish brown look. It just totally changes from daylight to dark.
Yeah.
And so it's sure.
I've never had one change that bad.
Oh,
That's really interesting.
Different colors definitely do.
Yeah. Sure do.
Yep. That's one thing to check before you start painting the whole house. Yeah.
Yeah. And surface, we was talking about surface preparation, like when you take wallpaper off. It don't matter whether you're painting new drywall or old stuff, whatever surface, what you paint on is very important to have that surface prepped.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same way whether you're painting a pool or you're painting your inside doors or walls, whatever.
Yeah. The paint's only as good as the surface below it,
right?
Or the previous coat below it. So
yeah.
Prep is everything, and can't do enough of it.
Yeah.
So what if someone has like like they've got they've painted 3 or 4 different times. So this wall that you're going to go in and paint for someone has multiple layers of paint on it. Is there any different kind of prep for that? Or does it matter how many layers of paint are on there?
Like I said, it's the paint's only going to hold as well as the one below it. And so the biggest thing to check is everything holding good? Is it all attached? And if you're starting to get bubbling or any kind of flaking or anything like that, you have to bring all that back into tight, or you're going to have big problems down the road and spend a lot of money.
So when do you use kills? What situations do you use that on? Because you see that, some say you got to put kills on it or whatever it is.
That's used for a lot of things. It's a stain blocker is what it is. And so anytime that you've got water damage, even in fire burn houses, will kills inside the walls.
Okay.
And kind of seal out that smell. But it's a stain blocker, and so you'll use it if let's say you're painting a wooden door or some wood trim, and you want to paint it white. Mm-hmm. If you don't seal that in, down the road, you're going to get brown streaks running through your paint. It's going to start bringing out some of the oils and stuff in the wood, and it'll be coming through the paint.
So if someone has some trim that's been stained, and they decide they don't want it stained and they want it painted white, so then would you kills it before you painted it white because of the stain?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So then that's a little more involved than just painting over.
Yeah.
Wood.
A lot of people try to, or especially if they don't know, they'll just paint it and wonder why all the brown streaks are coming through their paint, and that's why.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So what's the hardest color to paint? Is there a color that that just takes multiple coats, or that's just hard to get the true color, or?
Well, the hardest stuff is any kind of specialty paints, like any metallics. There's some of that look like leather and different things like that. Mm-hmm. And those are always the hardest to paint for sure. But as far as this regular paint goes, color wise, any reds, blues, things like that are very pigmented colors are very difficult to paint. A lot of coats. So again, that's one of those things you got to have the right paint. You can spend, a lot of money on 1 gallon of paint and do it once or twice, or you can spend a lot less money per gallon, but over the long haul, actually spend more money on paint and have to paint it 5 or 6 times.
Sure, so, that makes sense.
Yeah, so picking the right paint is important, mm-hmm. and I never like going cheap on the paint. It's well worth the money. A lot of times you're just spending an extra few dollars per gallon, and that's a very well spent couple dollars. So.
Like I said, my husband and I have done some painting and stuff, and actually we've done quite a bit of painting. And there is a big difference in paint. We bought it before where it's really thin, and it runs all over the place, and you're, instead of rolling it on the wall, you're trying to catch it off the wall.
Right.
And those are really annoying. And then if you buy, we finally learned to buy better quality paint, and it paints so much smoother and so much easier, and you don't have the drip issues, and you don't have all the problems you do if you go with a cheaper paint that maybe is watered down.
Right.
So, looks like we have another caller on the line.
Yes, we do. Let's talk to Roger in Branson. Go ahead, Roger.
Say, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, thanks for your show. I have an air conditioning, I guess kind of a comment and then a painting question.
Okay.
My air conditioning comment is I had to change out a heating and air unit. We have the ability to do that here with my people. But I went down and bought a can of flush to flush out the old Freon to change over to the new.
Yes.
That thing was, I'll bet you it was maybe less than a quart, about 16 ounces. And I got charged $91 for that can of flush.
I know. It's expensive.
I could not believe that I had to pay $91 for some kind of a solvent remover. I mean, is the cost in the EPA, or is it in the product or the distribution? I mean, I just couldn't even fathom.
Probably all of the above. Just like R22.
I thought $20 would be expensive,
Yeah. Just like R22 right now is extremely expensive. It's by design. The government doesn't want us to use that anymore. They want everyone to go to this 410A, which we've been doing ever since they put that on the market. Our company has. And so the units we put in have the new 410A. They call it new, but it's been around for quite a while. And they're wanting to phase out the R22. And so in order to do that, they've made the R22 very, very expensive for the consumer, trying to get them to upgrade their old system that takes the R22 to a new higher efficient system that has the 410A, and their point of view is then that it reduces the electrical usage, it reduces the energy it takes to operate them, and the refrigerant is more environmentally friendly than the old refrigerant. So it's just by design, and that's the way with a lot of products, especially in our industry. When they want us to change something, they make it pretty easy to do by pricing what you have out of the market.
When you have hundreds of air conditioners, this is going to get passed on to the consumer.
Yes, it is.
I got a bid of $75,000 to do one building.
I understand.
And there was only 24 apartments there. I can't rent them for what I'm renting them for and do that too. So
that's correct.
These people need to be under control. Anyway, we'll move on to the painting question. I use a national brand paint, always have, from California to here for 30 years. I've used the same major brand paint company. I always paint my rentals the same color, so I always know what paint I need for my kitchens and my bathrooms and my living areas. But one thing, when I touch up paint, I go back and touch up, I'll say maybe after a few months or a year or so, and there's been a smoker, it seems to have a different sheen to it when you look at the wall at an angle where you touched up it. Dead on, it doesn't look any different. But when you get to the side, it's almost like you used an eggshell on a flat wall when you really didn't. You used flat on flat. But I use flat because it hides a lot of imperfections in the walls and stuff, and I just like it better personally. So I use flat, and I use an enamel in my kitchens and bathrooms.
Right.
Did you comment to the why that is getting a different sheen to it, and is there a way to avoid that?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of times there isn't. Anytime you're painting over a paint that's been on for a while, you're going to get fading issues. You're going to get, and using the flat paint too. Flat paint, like you said, it does hide a lot more, but it also tends to pick up more dirt and whatnot off of hands and things like that. So yeah, you will always get a sheen difference. There are a few tricks that you can do if you've got a fairly newly painted wall. Just try to match the stipple pattern with the roller that you use. Things like that. If you're just brushing on a little bit, the brush strokes will actually leave a little bit of different sheen pattern compared to what your roller was. And so a lot of times you're going to be seeing that too and noticing that.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for calling today, Roger. That was something that we had talked about earlier when I'd visit with you, and something people don't always realize, and we've had that happen to us too. We think, well, we'll touch that up, and it's like, oh man, it doesn't match anymore. Mm-hmm. Paint will fade over time, and so once you put that paint on there and it looks all fresh and clean and new, depending on how the sun comes in the windows and hits the wall, the sun can fade. You have all kinds of things going on, and it just fades over time anyway. So to keep a can of paint for touch-ups and then 3 years later try to touch it up, it's not as easy as it sounds. You can't just go in, like you said, if you used a roller to put it on initially and then you take a brush to touch it up, you've got two different patterns going on there, and then you've got new paint and faded paint, and it's just can be frustrating, to say the least, to try and get all that to match up if you have a little spot on the wall.
Right.
Yeah, and have you ever, like on your car windshield, after a while you're like, I don't smoke in here, but my window's got this film on it.
Uh-huh.
And it's just, stuff that's in the fabric and the carpet and the seats and everything. All this stuff, it accumulates on your windshield. Well, it accumulates on your wall from your house. If it's a smoker, it's really bad because the nicotine or whatever it is that causes the yellowing sticks. Mm-hmm. So you got a lot of factors going on there, especially in a new house. With all the stuff, the new carpet and everything, So you get a lot of stuff that collects on the wall that you don't realize. Yep. And it's just every day walking by, kids touch the wall while the oil's in their hands, gets on that. You may not see it, but it's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it does make a difference. Dan, are we okay on time, or do we need to take a break? Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks for being with us, and come back shortly. We'll talk some more about paint.
Shinka. Stocks are rallying as Eurozone leaders agree to speed up plans to address problems in Spain and Italy. The Dow Industrial's up 210 at 12,813. The Nasdaq's up 61. The S&P 500 up 24. We were a little more worried about the economy at the end of June than we were last month. The Thomson Reuters University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index fell slightly on concerns about the labor market and uncertainty in the Eurozone. Kevin Flanagan of Morgan Stanley says the Europe situation is clearly affecting businesses.
I think less households, but more business confidence levels. And that would be one of my concerns going forward, that the uncertainty that we continue to see from the other side of the Atlantic could weigh on business spending patterns and hiring patterns.
Twitter's ads are starting to click. Today's Journal says Twitter is showing early signs of success selling ads on mobile devices, an area that's bedeviling Facebook and Google. This is the Wall Street Journal report.
The Olympic Games are almost here. On July 27th, the Summer Olympic Games are coming to the historic city of London. Watch the world's greatest athletes and see the world at its best.
Misty May and Kerry Walsh, gold medal champions.
With unforgettable moments and stories.
Usain Bolt winning by daylight. History for Michael Phelps.
Don't miss the biggest television event of the year, the London Olympic Games, beginning July 27th on NBC.
Managing your own business takes a number of essential apps.
I think I have every one of them.
One is all you need.
Yeah, the contact managing one, the project tracking one, the work sharing one, and the client billing one.
No, just the all-in-one.
Which one?
Sage One, the simple web app that puts it all together for business.
That one.
The only one.
How do I get one?
Visit sagetoday.com for your 30-day free trial of Sage One.
Nice one.
That's sagetoday.com.
Here's news on the Ozarks News Network. Record-breaking temperatures hit many Ozarks communities yesterday. Springfield hit 101 just before 5 p.m., breaking the daily record of 100 set in 1954. Other temperatures in the area include a record 107 at Harrison, and Mountain Home hit 108. With the National Weather Service heat advisory in effect through 7 p.m. tomorrow, City Utilities buses are providing free transportation to sites that have been designated as cooling centers in the city. Crews from 3 fire departments battled a grass fire started by fireworks yesterday. The fire started along the battlefield and Nixa fire protection districts, so they responded, and because of the spreading of the blaze, a brush truck from Republic was also called in. The fire was contained and no one was injured. For the Ozarks News Network, I'm Arlen Summers.
Here in southwest Missouri, we see things a little differently than those liberal politicians in Washington, D.C. Down here, we believe in family and personal responsibility. We believe in working hard and paying back what you owe. Those are our values. We need more leaders like Ward Franz. We can rely on Ward Franz to defend our values because he's one of us. A local employer, Ward Franz is fighting to keep taxes low and to create jobs right here in our community. A friend of agriculture, Ward Franz helped lead the fight to stop animal rights groups from harming our farmers. A dedicated father and husband, Ward Franz is working to protect traditional marriage and defend the innocent lives of the unborn. A proven fiscal conservative, Ward Franz will continue to demand balanced budgets and less government spending. On August 7th, the choice is clear. Vote for the candidate who is defending our values. Vote Ward Franz, State Senate. Paid for by Friends of Ward Franz. Warren Fletcher, Treasurer.
Live on Sunday night, it's Bill Cunningham.
Bill Cunningham, the Great American, this Sunday night live with the Great American. Guess what? Health care will be dissected. Illegal immigration, the decision will be vivisection. It's going to be great. Plus, the future Republican vice presidential nominee will be here. That is Senator Rob Portman. Bill Cunningham, the Great American, live this Sunday night.
Willie. The Bill Cunningham Show, Sunday night at 9:05 on KWTO.
Very hot again today with mostly sunny skies. The high near the record of 100 set back in 1952. Clear skies tonight, low of 70. Mostly sunny again for tomorrow, the high of 100. That'll break the record of 97 reached last year. Mostly sunny again heading into Sunday, high of 98. As you head back to work on Monday, it will be mostly sunny and hot, the high 98. Partly sunny for your Tuesday, Tuesday's high 95. I'm AccuWeather's Jason Lord.
Hi, I'm Bob Edwards with MoDOT. Join us for Talking Transportation at 10 a.m. each Wednesday. This week, we'll update you on the Route 65 widening project in the Warsaw area. That's Talking Transportation, 10 a.m. Wednesdays. You can hear us on KWTO, AM 560, the Talk of the Ozarks, Catch us on the web at radiospringfield.com.
There's a pretty darn good pizza parlor in town. They make everything from scratch, with homemade crust, fresh meats and vegetables, and 100% real mozzarella. Where are you going to find it? Right inside a gas station. Casey's General Store, a convenience store, and a whole lot more. Right now, you can get free cheese breadsticks with the purchase of any large pizza.
Well, I went down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, you need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.
Welcome back to Home Repairs and Solutions with Mark and Mary, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amana dealer. And once again, hosts Mary Pearson and Mark Withers and their guests for today.
Welcome back, everybody.
Good to be back.
It is good to be. It's
really
good
to be back.
No kidding. It's just wonderful that you're here.
Oh, I'm
you
glad
haven't
to.
been here for ever, it seems like, and we haven't got to talk too much about what's going on with your bluegrass stuff, but I know you have some stuff coming up that the folks would want to hear about.
We got a lot of stuff going on. Of course, next weekend is our big Starvey Creek Bluegrass Festival at Conway, Missouri, so I'll be down there all weekend, and this will be our 27th. And so for 27 years, well, soon to be 27 years, I've never missed one. So
wow.
I'm glad I'm going to be here this year to not miss
Me
it.
too. I'm glad that too, Mark.
Yeah, we a week ago, we already had like 85 RVs in there, so it's going to be huge again. And we have it, of course, in July, then again in September. And then also something else really neat that's happening is, of course, I'm the vice president of the Greater Ozarks Bluegrass Society. We have the Ozark Empire Fair. We have Bluegrass Day.
I heard that.
Yeah, July 31st, Ozark Empire Fair, and that is going to be great. We're going to have such a great time out there. We got the Cleverleys, who are on the Paul Harris Show down at Branson. Cleverleys is going to be there on the grandstand along with the Chapmans, two great bluegrass groups, and it's going to be a hoot. We're going to have a great day. That'll be Tuesday, July 31st.
Now, is there an extra charge to go to that, or is that part of your fair ticket?
There is a grandstand charge. Most all the shows now, but I tell you what, I think ours starts at 15 and goes up to I forget how much, whereas some of the other bigger shows are like 40 and 50, $60.
Yeah.
So, and two great bands. We're just going to have a ball out there that day.
And this is the first time you've done the fair, correct?
First time we've done the fair. The fair people approached us right before I went into to surgery, and we met with them, and they said, "Hey, we would like to have bluegrass at the Ozark Empire Fair." We're like, "Hey,"
and some local folks, entertaining,
yeah, and,
that'll be awesome.
And so, it's going to be fun. The Cleverleys they're touring nationally now. Also, I mean, everybody loves the Cleverleys, and Chapman's our national touring professional bluegrass band also, but they're all from right here in the Ozarks. That's what's cool
great.
about it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and so we got that going on, and just all kinds of really neat things that's happening. I'm going to get to play a private party for my buddy Stan Kremke's with Woodbright. He's been on the show several times.
Yes, good.
On the 14th, he's having a big After the Fourth party.
There you go.
Taking the bluegrass band out there and playing a little bit of his gig. That's going to be fun.
That will be fun.
And then a lot of other neat stuff happening all through the year as far as my music and stuff goes.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, that is great to know because I really didn't keep up with that too much with you while you've been out, and we haven't got to chat a lot, so I haven't been able to promote that for you very well, and so I'm glad you're here to do that today because I'd hate for people to miss out on that.
That's right.
So that's good to know.
Yep.
And I just want to tell my dad happy birthday. I don't know if he's listening today or not, but happy birthday, Dad. I'll be there shortly to see you, and we'll have cake or something, whatever we got going on. I don't know. But
yeah.
And Brittany's excited. She's ready. She's ready. Well, we haven't given out our number today.
No, we haven't.
Maybe someone hasn't called because they don't have the number.
That's true. Well, you can get a hold of us at 862-9977, 1-800-375-0056. Free call for no matter where you are.
That's right.
Give us a ring. We'd love to talk to you. The Price is Right. That'd be a game show. Would you ever think about that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I wonder if anyone's thought of that, Mark.
I don't know.
But give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to talk paint, you want to talk air conditioning, or
music,
whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about anything.
There you go.
You know,
Someone else having a birthday, call in. We'll wish you happy birthday too.
That's right. That's right.
Well, in the meantime, we're going to talk some more about paint.
I think that's a good deal.
And I had a couple of questions for Zach here. You know, when you go get paint and you're looking at what you want to buy, there's so many different types. Like there's flat, there's semi-gloss, there's gloss. And I don't know what else I have because I'm not an expert in all this stuff. But it's just, I mean, there's walls and rows of this stuff. How do you know what is the right application for what you're doing? Is there, like, if you're painting in a bathroom where there's water, should you use a certain type of paint over another paint? Or, you know, I don't imagine you want to put gloss on your ceiling. Maybe you would. I don't know. Do you not?
Well, I've seen different things. So
okay.
Some people use different things for all kinds of different projects. But, yeah, I would say, you know, in a bathroom, obviously the more sheen, the more scrubbable it's going to be. But even more than that is going to be the type of paint you get. Spend the money on your bathroom paint. It's well worth it.
So the shinier it is, the more washable it is. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You know, a flat paint, especially a very cheap flat paint, you can just scrub it right off the wall very easily.
Oh.
And so the more sheen, usually you can scrub a little bit more on them. But again, the biggest thing out of all that is spend the money on a little bit better quality paint, and you'll be very happy that you did. It's well worth the money. There's paints out there that are flat paints that are very scrubbable. You wouldn't be able to scrub them off the wall. And they're, you know, maybe double the price, but you're getting double the coverage a lot of times than some of the cheaper paints anyway. So
and better wearability, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's well worth the money.
So if you have a if you like the gentleman that called in earlier, if you have a flat paint, like if you have a wall that has like a lot of imperfections and you're wanting to cover up a lot of whatever goes on with walls, I don't know, bumps and scrapes and scratches or whatever, then a flat is a better paint to cover up stuff, or no?
Well, this is what you run into. A lot of times, some of the, you know, if you have different dents or imperfections in the wall, the flat doesn't have a sheen to it, so it seems to hide a little bit better.
I see.
Whereas, you know, if you have a satin or eggshell paint, you're going to see a little bit of a sheen, you know, from the sunlight through the windows and whatnot, and you will notice it a lot more for sure. So, yeah, the flats seem to hide a little bit better.
What about a textured wall? Are people still doing a lot of textured walls?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Okay. And so does that make a difference as to what you'd put on there, if it's textured or not, or?
Well, not necessarily. It's just, you know, the person's preference. You know, a lot of people, like our caller earlier, prefers flat paint, and we do a lot of flat paint. A lot of people really like that look. But again, if you're going to go that direction, just be sure you spend money on a good quality flat paint.
So if someone has a project and say they want to have some painting done, you will do something as small as like one wall for someone. Is that correct?
Yep.
So, and you know, you can do that. If you have a wall, if you want to do an accent wall or something, you can really change the look of everything just by doing an accent wall in your home. And that could give you a whole different look without a lot of time, a lot of cost. You know, you're not having to move everything out of the room and store it somewhere while you're painting and all that. So I do see some people do like to do the accent wall type thing. So if you have a house and you're thinking about maybe just sprucing up or maybe making it look brighter or sunnier or more cheerful or whatever, think about just doing an accent wall. And I would imagine if someone wants to do that, and if you come in and see what they have, see what their house looks like, the paint they have now, you could probably help them with what would be the best color to accent with, because you can really get yourself in a mess if you get the wrong accent color.
Yes, you can, yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wow, this did not turn out like I thought it was supposed to. So maybe that would be something, you know, a lot of times in the summer, that's when people are wanting to kind of do those type of projects. Because, let me ask you a question. Does humidity, like if it's raining outside, I always heard if it's raining outside, it's not a good time to paint because of the humidity. Is a wives' tale, or is that true?
It definitely changes the paint for sure. Yeah, it's changes dry time, and you know, if it's very humid, a lot of times, depending on what you're painting, what type of product, but a lot of times it'll cause them to flash, and sometimes they just won't dry quick enough, and you'll start getting some running down the walls. Well, there's a lot of different. Let's say you're using a lacquer based product. And you'll get like a blush that shows through a clear lacquer. I don't know if you've seen that happen before, but a lot of that is a moisture issue. Where the lacquer dries, but the moisture is trapped inside, and it'll cloud the lacquer up. So you'll have a clear lacquer with a cloudy look to it.
Ooh, I wouldn't like that too good, I don't think. I don't know. Would you, Britt? No. Okay. You don't want to do that, folks. We've talked a lot about the painting you do inside. We haven't talked a lot about what you can do for people on the outside. I would imagine that you would, if someone needed the entire outside of their home painted, you would do that.
Yes, absolutely. Correct? Yep.
And does it matter what the exterior is? Now, I'm sure you wouldn't go in and paint vinyl siding, and that wouldn't make any sense. But does the texture or whatever the outside material is, does that matter as to that process?
Yeah, it does. It makes a big difference on what type of paint you choose, and what process we take to go about it. But we can do just about any kind of exterior. And right now we're doing a lot of decks and fences and restoration on those things too. So that's a really popular thing right now.
Oh, I'm sure. So, but you do power washing and that type of thing too. You do more than just paint. So you can come out and actually, like, would you power wash someone's vinyl siding for them if they needed that?
Yeah, that's definitely something we can do. And we like to use, if you get that mildew look.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of people are familiar with that if you have vinyl siding. And so that's something we can clean off. And we actually spray some stuff on there that helps make it take a little longer before it shows back up. Because if you just wash it, it will come back rather quickly.
Sure. So what about, and we've kind of talked about it on the show before, but they say not to use bleach when you're doing that because that would, it bleaches stuff. That's what it's called bleach for.
Right.
So you wouldn't advise someone to take a gallon of bleach and put the hose in it and start showering down their siding, I don't imagine.
Yeah, it's that probably wouldn't be the best idea. You do that, you might end up with some streaks running down your siding, and you might have some dead plants along the way too. So.
That's true. That's true.
Well, when you do laundry, if you think about it, you add bleach to brighten it, bring out the color, but you also put your washing detergent in there because the detergent cleans it. Bleaches
it.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, you don't just wash your clothes in bleach.
Outside.
Sure.
Yeah. And something else and I learned this years ago. I used to be over the paint department at one of the Meek stores, and I mean we're talking several years ago. But I learned that you look in these sale ads and stuff, or go to some of these big box stores, and they'll say 15-year paint, 20-year paint. There's no way that they can tell you that paint is going to last 20 years on your house.
That's what I've always thought too.
I mean, they don't know how much sun it gets, how much weather we're going to have, or what kind of surface you're putting it on. That is just nothing but a marketing tool that they use. Yeah. And so stay with just a really good quality paint. Don't worry about how many years it says, but stay with a good quality paint.
That is conducive to whatever you're putting it on.
Yeah.
So you gotta, gotta make sure you do all that right. And I would imagine, you know how many paint brushes and rollers there are. If you're gonna go buy a paintbrush or roller, I'm like, holy cow! What do you use for what? I mean, there's a lot. It sounds like a simple, easy thing to do, but if you haven't done it or if you don't have experience in doing it, it can be really overwhelming and frustrating. And you can spend a lot of money on products and paint that you're not happy with at the end product. Mm-hmm. When you get done, you're like, that is not what I thought I was going to get. Or you get a brush and the little hairs come out on the wall as you're painting. That's always annoying, So don't buy cheap brushes. I mean, it's all has to do with quality.
Yes.
To get a quality job, you have to buy quality paint and quality products.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah, with brushes, you don't have to get the most expensive, but you do need to spend some money on it, and or you will get bristles falling out of them. And it also depends on what type of product you're using. If you're using an oil or if you're using a latex, got to have the right brush for the right job,
Mm-hmm.
So where would you put? You wouldn't use the oil on a wall, would you? Where do you use oil-based paints?
Typically, anymore, the water-based products are really the technology's really coming along. So oils are still used a lot on trim and doors and things like that. Still quite a bit. People use them on a lot of different things, but that's usually the most popular right now for those type of products.
So on a wood type product,
right,
would you put your oil paint on? Okay.
Longer drying time usually.
Yes.
On oils.
Yes.
Oh, is there?
Oh, yeah.
And that brings up one other thing that we were talking about earlier when you're talking about killing and sealing things up. There are water-based kills products. They don't work as well as...
They don't stink as bad either.
They don't stink as bad, but they don't work as well as the oils. So that's
that
something to keep in mind.
Stinks.
It does. It's not a good smell.
Yeah, but boy, if you're in the room doing it a lot, it sure make you feel good, though.
I don't think that's part of your rehab, Mark.
No.
It's not?
I don't think so.
But yeah, you definitely want some good ventilation when you're using the good old kills.
Yes.
Well, you want ventilation when you use any paint, don't you, pretty much?
Sure. Yeah, you
I
do.
mean, you don't want to be pretty much in a closed-up room with no ventilation.
Yeah.
Because even though they're water-based, there still isn't odor. I mean, they still have chemicals in them, I'm guessing. They haven't got the chemicals out of them yet. So
Yeah, they still have a smell to them, but anytime you're using an oil or lacquers or anything like that that has a really strong solvent smell, respirator is a good idea.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know how many old painters I've seen from years ago or dealt with that has never used a respirator, and they're just about half goofy. A lot of them. I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, I don't mean that bad, but that's just the nature of the job.
It
Because
is.
especially these guys that's done it for years and years, never did use the proper equipment. Their brains just kind of fried. I mean, and that's sad, but it happens.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a few marbles rolling around. They
Yep.
didn't. They got unstuck, and they're just rolling around in there. So.
They're worse than heating and air guys. You know.
Well, there's a few of us that have some of that going on too.
Oh.
So yeah, don't be out there sniffing Freon.
No.
Does the same thing. So is there a time frame, or is there an amount of time, like if you are painting inside and you have a paint color like just on a sheetrock wall somewhere in your home, do you need to repaint that every so often, or is it just your preference? Is it like, if it still looks good to you and you're fine with it, then it's fine? I mean, is there a lifetime, or is there some time when you should repaint and for some reason, or is it just because you want to change colors or you want to repaint?
Well, that's a difficult question because it's a lot of it is preference to the person, but and what type of paint you put on. Certain paints last certain amounts of time, and that's just, they have a lifespan about them, and a lot of the cheaper paints you will be repainting a lot more often, and some of them you can get a long life out of them. So it just depends on the product that you put on before. Is it starting to fade? Is it chalking? Is it, if you run your hand on the wall and you get some paint on your hands, that's probably not a good thing. So
if you want to know if it's fading, take the picture that's been hanging there for 10 years off the wall. You'll know if it's faded or not.
Right.
And it probably will be.
Yeah.
More than you think.
Yep.
So it would probably be a good idea. It would be something like if someone's getting ready to sell their home, one of the things they could do that would just make it look cleaner and brighter would be just to repaint.
Yeah, fresh coat of paint
Makes
does
everything look better. It makes
does.
the carpet look better. It makes the wood look better. So, I know oftentimes people come, I got to change the carpet. I got to do this, I got to do that. Sometimes you can get away with just putting in a fresh coat of paint because I don't know what it is about it, but it makes everything look better to me. When you have something newly painted and you have a fresh color of paint on the wall and everything just looks newer and cleaner. So, if you're getting ready to sell your home and need to spruce it up, Zach will help you out by putting some paint on the wall, and everything will look good. Everything will look good. Why don't you give out your contact information again before we run out of time? We've only done that once, so if people weren't ready, then they'll be ready now and they can get that information again. Our
website is profinishpaint.com. And again, the site is under construction, so give us, hopefully it'll be up really soon, but give us a little bit on that, and you'll be able to get on there and look at some of our projects and pictures and things that we've done.
You do before and after?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep, and then our phone number is 417-893-0803.
There you go. Got anything planned this weekend?
This weekend, just going to kind of take it easy and not do a whole lot and get ready for Starby Creek next weekend.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Well, I think is there some fireworks stuff going on this weekend somewhere? I don't know if there's this weekend.
No, I don't know or not. I bet there is.
There probably is. Cape Fair is doing theirs Tuesday, so we got lots of folks coming Tuesday, and we're going to barbecue and watch the fireworks, and that's
that
always
sounds
fun.
good. Oh,
Fireworks over the lake is always just
I
really
bet.
neat.
I bet it is.
You kind of get a two for the money kind of thing because
Mhm.
it reflects off the water and echoes off the bluff, and so it's just really fun to do that. And we have a lot of friends who come down for that. Have some family coming from Illinois that'll be here, so we've got some of those things going on. But didn't know if you had any music thing going on this weekend or if that was all starting next weekend.
All starting next weekend, so probably going to take it easy. We've had to granddaughter last couple weekends. Boy, I'll tell you what,
Okay.
a 2-year-old will wear you out. Let me tell you.
You're gonna have to go double rehab for that
I know
one.
it. I get my rehab almost with her.
I'll bet you do.
So I think this weekend we're just going to kind of take it easy, not do a whole lot, and
it's going to be hot.
Yeah, and my stepdaughter is actually getting married next weekend.
Oh wow!
But I won't be there. So
that's true.
Yeah,
Did she
ain't
not
that
check
terrible?
with you to see
No,
if you had
she
a
didn't.
previous commitment?
No, she didn't. And this is
Well,
not her first time. So I
that
told
was
her, I
poor
said,
planning on her
sorry.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she'll be getting remarried. So my wife will be going to St. Louis, and I'll be going to Starvey Creek, and that's just
how life
just
goes
how life
sometimes.
goes.
That's right. That's how it goes.
We do have a lot of stuff going on in the construction business. Things are picking up just a little bit.
Oh, they
seem to
are a
be.
little bit, yeah.
And we've got 3 or 4 custom houses going now, so just a lot of things happening there. So we're just staying really busy anyhow. So
good. That's good to know. I have a friend that's a realtor, and he's seeing some things pick up in the market. So I'm hoping that's a good sign for everybody out there that's in the construction industry that's kind of struggled the last few years, because it's not been an easy few years, as all of us here can attest to, I'm sure.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
do you do a lot of new construction?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, we do new construction. We do a lot of remodels. Lately, a lot of remodels. So, but new construction's been definitely picking up.
Right.
Well, we're down to 1 minute left in the show. I can't believe it. It went by so
Boy,
fast.
it did.
It always does. I don't get it. I don't know where that hour goes.
Flies by.
It does. Zach, thank you so much for being with us today. You gave out some great information to our listeners, and I'm sure that you'll be getting some phone calls. I know there's people out there that have projects that involve paint.
Yep.
So we'll encourage them to give you a call, and we'll have you back on the show sometime. Maybe we'll talk about painting pools in the fall or something.
Sounds great. I appreciate you having me.
Well, I hope everyone has a happy and safe 4th.